This video is going to look at ethical issues in sport, and we're going to be focusing on the conduct of performers, looking at prohibited substances, so performance enhancing drugs, and the methods that athletes take these by. Before we start moving on to drugs, we're going to look at a few key terms you need to know. And what I want you to start thinking about is when you hear each key term, can you think of an example of when it's used in sport? Because we're going to be going through these in the lesson, and I want you to be able to give me sporting examples for each one. So etiquette is the normal or acceptable levels of behaviour within a sport. Sportsmanship is the appropriate, polite and fair behaviour while you're participating in a sporting event. Gamesmanship is the use of dubious methods that are not strictly illegal to gain an advantage. So something that's not illegal but is a bit dubious, but helps an athlete gain an advantage. And also we have the contract to compete. Now this is agreeing to play by the rules. You're trying to win, but you're also allowing your opponent to play. So why don't you have a little think as you're writing these definitions down of a sporting example for each one. The first prohibited substance we're going to look at then is stimulants. And stimulants are used by athletes to speed up parts of their body. An example would be adrenaline. And they're used to increase someone's alertness and reduce their reaction time. That means that they can react a little bit quicker. And also it reduces their tiredness and increases their aggressiveness. So all of those you can imagine would be beneficial in a large number of sports. However, they are highly addictive and they have a number of side effects. If you were to take them, it'd increase your blood pressure, you'd be at increased risk of strokes and heart attacks, and also liver damage as well. And these are used by performers who need to be more alert, who need that really fast reaction time. So if you think of a sprinter or speed swimmer, at the start of that race, as soon as the gun or the buzzer goes, they need to react as fast as they can, and stimulants could give them that faster reaction time. They're also used by some athletes to deaden pain. So a lot of injured athletes, when they're returning, trying to get back to training quickly, can take stimulants like adrenaline as well. The next one we're going to look at is narcotic analgesics. Now these are very strong painkillers and they mask pain from injury or overtraining. So some examples you would have heard of hopefully are heroin or morphine. And these are highly addictive and can cause withdrawal symptoms when the athlete isn't taking them. They also have a lot of side effects: constipation, low blood pressure, so the athlete might be at increased risk of fainting, and also a loss of concentration, which could lead to a coma. Now, types of athletes that would take this are those who are recovering from overtraining or competing with an injury. They may have a long-term injury and they're taking these injections of these strong painkillers before each game to allow them to play. The next ones we're going to look at are anabolic agents, and these are all related to increasing and speeding up the rate of muscle growth. One you would have heard of would most likely be anabolic steroids. These speed up recovery. Performers are able to train harder and more frequently. So they might take steroids after a gym session, and it means they can train again the next day at a harder level than if they didn't take them. They also make them more aggressive and more competitive, and in certain sports that can be a real big advantage. However, they do have a lot of side effects. So for men, shrunken testicle size, high blood pressure, liver, kidney and heart damage. Women who take it start to develop some male characteristics such as increases in body hair, smaller breasts or deeper voice. Some athletes also take peptide hormones. Now the main peptide hormone has been in endurance sports especially in recent years is EPO. And what this does is an athlete would have an injection of these hormones, the EPO hormones, and it would increase the number of red blood cells that their body starts to produce. And obviously if they have more red blood cells, they're able to carry more oxygen, they're going to have less fatigue, they're going to not feel tired as much. So marathon runners and long distance cyclists like in the Tour de France are more likely to use these type of hormones. But they do have side effects. They're increasing the number of red blood cells, so they're thickening their blood, and their heart's got to pump harder every single beat to get that thicker blood around the body. There is an increased risk of strokes and also heart attacks. The next drugs are diuretics. Now, diuretics are taken to remove water from the body, and they don't actually improve performance at all, but some athletes take it to lose weight. If you think about boxers who have got to get in at a certain weight, they might take the diuretics to increase their urine production so they can, and sweat, so they can reach their weight that they need to. And jockeys, they've got to be as light as they can before a race. The lighter they are, the faster a horse will run. So jockeys may also take this. And they're really also taken by athletes to dilute other illegal substances in their body. They may have taken some illegal drugs, and by taking diuretics, they're hoping that those drugs will get flushed out in their urine. So then take diuretics, you've got to wee more, and those illegal drugs will hopefully come out with that urine. They do have side effects. It's all about removing excess water. So if you take diuretics, you can cause severe dehydration and also low blood pressure. So you might end up fainting. The next one we're going to look at isn't a drug, but it's a method, and it's called blood doping. And athletes would use it to increase the number of red blood cells in their body. So that means they're going to increase the amount of oxygen they can get to their muscles. And how it would work is they'd remove a pint of blood from the athlete several weeks before a competition. They put that in a jar and they would freeze that. And then the body will start to make more blood to replace the amount that's been removed. So over the next few weeks, your body just starts to produce more and more red blood cells to get it back up to normal levels. And then 1 to 2 days before the competition, they thaw it out, they thaw your blood, and they'd inject it back into the athlete. And endurance athletes would use this because they've got far more red blood cells at the end. You've got all the red blood cells your body's made, and you've got the red blood cells that you've injected back in as well. So you're able to carry far more oxygen to your muscles. But there are side effects. Just like EPO, it will thicken up the blood, and you can get increased risk of heart attacks. You may get embolisms, which are burst blood vessels. And also, because you're doing injections, there's a risk of blood-borne diseases like HIV and hepatitis. Some athletes will also use beta blockers, and beta blockers reduce the effects of adrenaline. They reduce your heart rate, they reduce your muscle tension, and they reduce your blood pressure. So overall, they make you far more calm. And what this does is it improves your fine motor control, and it makes you more accurate and precise. And it's taken to reduce the effect of nerves. However, these also have side effects. You can be nauseous, tired, weak, and again, it affects your heart because you're trying to interfere with the heart's natural rhythm. You're trying to reduce it, so you do get heart problems as well. And these are only permitted for performers by prescription, so they've got to be prescribed by a doctor. So they're the main performance-enhancing drugs and methods and prohibited substances. And now we're going to look at the advantages and disadvantages of taking performance-enhancing drugs for a performer. So if a performer was to take drugs to improve their performance, then they're going to play better. Their career is going to go on for longer and they're going to stay employed for longer. And if their performance is better, they're going to be more successful, they get more income, and they become more famous. So there are a lot of reasons why athletes might consider taking drugs. But there are also disadvantages. You've heard all the health risks. You're at increased risk of heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, among many, many other things. And also, you are cheating. And when you're caught, you're going to be banned from that sport for a period of time, if not life, and also fined heavily. And it also damages the reputation of that performer. If you look at Lance Armstrong now, was done for drug taking in cycling, and there was so much negative publicity around it at the time. As well as the performer, there's also disadvantages to the sport. Performers within that sport are caught taking performance-enhancing drugs. So Lance Armstrong in cycling, many sprinters and athletes, the Russian athletics team and Olympics teams, a lot of those were caught taking performance-enhancing drugs. The sport itself loses its reputation partly when that happened. Athletics and the Olympics took a big hit with the Olympics, with the Russian team being banned from the Olympics. Cycling took a hit when Lance Armstrong was found to be taking drugs. Sport does lose its credibility because of regular positive drugs tests. Sports could also lose income. As soon as people start hearing that the athletes in that sport are taking drugs, then people are far less likely to go and watch them. So therefore you get reduced spectators and you don't get as much money for ticket sales. And there's just a lot of negative publicity about the sport if athletes are taking performance-enhancing drugs. And also TV attendances start to fall. And if TV attendances fall, the media don't get involved as much, and sponsors don't want to be associated with sports where their athletes are taking drugs because it has a negative impact on them. What I want you to do as an extra bit of homework at the end of this video is do a little bit of research and find 5 athletes who have been caught taking performance-enhancing drugs or using blood doping. I want 5 athletes at the end of your homework notes that have been caught taking drugs, their name and the sport that they're in.